Well, this is exciting. I'm joined by Kenny Thomas and also Ronnie Herel. I want to talk about your new single, guys, because both of you are no strangers to collaborations with lots of other people. So, Kenny, let me start with you. What was it about this song, The Sun Will Rise Again, that made you think, I've really got to get in on that production?
Yeah, I worked with Ronnie in the past and did, so we did a song many years ago. Obviously, we've known each other for years. And then he just sent me this kind of groove, told me about the album that he was doing and the artists that were featuring on it. It sent me quite a rough, it was a rough groove. And, but it had the essence, it had a sort of vibe about it. And I started to immediately come up with, what we commonly call the top line, and some of the melodies and the lyrics started to, present itself to my mind. And then we worked on it and I laid down the vibes, and then Ronnie went back and worked on the music and brought it really up to where, to the standard where it is now.
So, Ronnie, let's just talk about your new album for a second, because this is an album full of collaborations and new music as well. And you've had a bit of a hiatus in terms of the production for a little while, and your radio career has kind of taken over along with the DJing again. So what was it that made you decide that you wanted to get back into music?
Well, I mean, I've had to do the collaborations because I can't sing for Toffee. In fact, it's really, really quite interesting. I think, where was it? Croatia, just last week. And some guy come up to me and he went, my wife just said, Ronnie's got a great voice, hasn't he? And I went, you better tell her that's not me, that's Kenny on the record. So this particular project was born during lockdown, as quite a few of them was. Obviously, I wasn't DJing, couldn't get out there, suffered with COVID quite badly, and on my recovery, just thought, you know what, I've got so many bits and pieces that are in my hard drive. I want to sort of go through them, through production bits and bobs, go through some of them and see if any of them warrant sort of seeing the light of day. And I had a conversation with a great DJ from the States, DJ Spen, who shows us a lot of love. He comes over to the UK quite a lot, and he's got a great label called Quantize Recordings. And there's the first record that came out on his label was a conversation with him saying, do you want this record? He was like, yeah, I love it, do another mix. And then he, subsequently said to me, do you want to do a full project? So I was like, if I'm going to do it, I want to work with people that, I've played their music, I've respected their music, and I've got a relationship with. And, Kenny's one of those people who I've just always respected. I always loved his music and played and supported it. So I reached out to Kenny, I reached out to Omar, Terry Walker's on the project as well. Done a track already with Gary Paul, which is one of the singles, Thinking About Your Love, which is the Skipworth and Turner record. But this particular record, it was a bit of a mad one. As Kenny said, it was literally just a raw groove. We had a conversation, I sent him a couple of bits, he liked that one. And it's taken a while, it took a while to sort of finally get together, but I just love what this record's about. It's not just a normal love story, it's really conscious. And I specifically wanted it to come out when the sun was going to come out during the summertime, but it's not a summertime record really. If you listen to what Kenny's talking about singing the record, it's really inspirational, and that's what I love about this project. So it's really good to come back. This is the fourth single from the forthcoming album, and hopefully the album will come out before the end of the year. But yeah, I'm really excited about this record, and it's being received really well.
Now, when we spoke last time around Christmas, you mentioned this song then. So it's August now. So we're sort of nearly 9 months in, and it's just about to come out. But it was in the can almost at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few tweaks, like I'm a perfectionist. Kenny's most definitely a perfectionist. So, there was versions of it what I sent to Kenny. He was like, we got to tweak it here and stuff like that. But it's been a real sort of joint effort in making sure that it sees the light of day how we both wanted it. And yeah, I think we finally sort of got a product what we're both happy with, hopefully. So yeah, there's a couple of nice mixes of it coming as well.
And Kenny, just with regards with regards to yourself, so this sounds like a Kenny Thomas song to me. I mean, I'm sure when Ronnie was writing this, he had you in mind for it, because you just seem to the pair of you just seem to fit together so well.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect little marriage. And I mean, the song, I wanted to take it somewhere different. I mean, obviously keeping it soulful always, but I wanted to inject some of that, a slight reggae flavour into it, which in some of the timing and the nuances of the vocal, which I did. And because I grew up, as we all did, grew up with the reggae and the lovers rock and the dubwise, so that's been a big part of my life, and I wanted to put that in there, and it fits well with a song that's got that social conscience, about it. And obviously, there's a lot to grumble about, and there's a lot to moan about in this modern world, and I think people will resonate and they'll identify with the lyrics and interpret it their own way. Now, the reason it took so long is also I had to park the song up for a bit because I was touring and recording some other stuff, and then also, like he quite rightly says, that perfectionist OCD side of me is meant that I stripped the vocal down again. I completely re-recorded and went into it a bit more with a fine-tooth comb at my studio at the house, and I think I got a better vocal the second time around, and better BVs and slightly better structure in terms of the arrangement. So it got there in the end, Again, with people, they try in the old days of being signed to like EMI and Chrysalis and all of that. They used to really, sort of pressurize you to finish things, and I can look back on tracks now that weren't right because we were under so much pressure to get things finished. And now I can't do that anymore. I mean, I'm too old for that nonsense. It has to be right, it has to feel right, and it has to go out of the studio and I say, right, I'm happy with it. That's the best I can get it to at this moment in time. What I do in 5 years' time with it, I don't know. It may not even be it. But the thing is, I know it has to be the best I could have done that day.
So Kenny wrote the lyrics to this, and as it was coming back to me, I was going, yeah. I mean, it's so relative to everything that's going on now. Look, we're in a quite a dire situation with pretty much every aspect of our life. If you just, if you're, from that middle part of England and you're working class, it's really tough out there. So when you're listening to those words, I mean, I'm sure it's going to resonate with so many people. But in terms of how Kenny's delivered it, that's the beautiful thing about it. I think he did go in with a real reggae tinge. We kind of worked it out with a really lovely balance in how Kenny's delivered it. And there's elements of soul in there, there's elements of reggae, there's even sort of jazz tinges in there, but a little, musically, like with there's a piano solo in there that I love as well. I want to send out a massive shout out to Ainsley, who's just a magnificent musician as well, who's sort of put all the sort of little flurries in there. But I haven't told Kenny this yet. We are actually looking to do a reggae version of it because, and two or three people have said it. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at getting a reggae producer to sort of just put a reggae spin on it. So when the record comes out, it actually comes out on the 18th of August. There will probably be a little follow-up mix, a little follow-up reggae mix, which I shall send to you, Kenny, for your approval. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. You know what I mean? So I'm just in conversations with someone about doing that reggae version now.
And the tour itself is pretty extensive, isn't it? You are going all over the UK, and it culminates with an amazing performance at the, I say amazing, I've not seen it yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be amazing, performance at the London Palladium, right?
The Palladium, well, we're at the O2, we're at the Indigo for this tour.
Okay.
And then next year, there's obviously bigger things afoot, as you rightly.
Sorry, I've jumped the gun there. Sorry, I was having a chat with Tom last week. Let me just change that slightly.
there is a we call it the soul. We call it the Brit Soul Ascending because we're obviously we feel like we're building and ascending in some fashion. Obviously, of course, once you get to the top, there's only one way after that, and that's descending. But we're doing what we can. I mean, next year hopefully will be a little bit build upon this year, and it's a slow war of attrition. It's not like the old days. We haven't got the big guns behind us, the big major record company guns behind us, but I don't think we even need those anymore.
I don't think you do, because what you do have now, which you didn't have then, of course, is the songs. So you know, when you first started in your career and they're pumping money into you, they're doing it blindly because they don't know whether the songs are going to take off. Now the difference here is, well, you've got the songs now, you've got the heritage and you've got the legacy, and that's what sells the tickets now, and that's probably more important than it was when you were first starting.
Yes, and I think also when you come to one of my concerts, and I'm not putting myself down, but the music is almost, the songs and the music are the most important thing. We're all participants in it, me, the band, the audience, and the music is bigger than all of us put together, So and the experience from people coming to the gigs is that they have a bloody good time and they let their hair down, have a dance, go home, and it takes them back in time. But also they're bringing it up to, bringing those old days back to the present moment.
Ronnie, let me just ask you something, and it's going to be a real sort of left field question this now, but you've been working on this project for quite a while, and you've got 4 singles down already, and there's more to come in the album to be released later. At what point are you going to put a band together and stick this on a stage?
I haven't even thought about that, if I'm honest with you. I mean, it would be nice. I think I like the idea of, there's a lot of these kind of orchestra situations going on out there. So, I kind of like the idea of doing something more like that before we sort of put this into a band situation. A lot of the records that we're doing on here are quite club orientated as well. So I'm not sure how that would translate into a band and into a concert format, or even a gig format. So I don't know, like I said, I haven't even thought about that yet. What I have thought about is trying to get this project done and finished, because as you said, it's been going on for a long time. And pinning down these guys, these legends, people like Kenny Thomas, who are just out there touring, continuously working, continuously doing their own music, it's really hard to sort of pin them down to get anything finished. So that's one of the challenges that I'm having at the moment. But yeah, in terms of getting this into a band format, I don't know if that'll ever happen, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm quite happy as a DJ, not as a musician standing on stage playing as Kenny's guys do. I kind of leave that to the professionals.
That's a good answer, I think. A little disappointing, but a good answer.
You never know, though. Come on, watch this.
Kind of
you never know.
It's kind of expecting you to say, yeah, I'm going to do the Jazz Cafe next summer. I'm going to bring all these people together.
I've done Jazz Cafe. I've been on the stage there as a DJ. I've backed up the Brand New Heavies as their sort of, on stage DJ cutting and scratching and stuff. I think that's as far as I'd want to take it.
And actually, you backed Kenny up as well, didn't you, in Shepherd's Bush not so long ago?
Yeah, I sort of done a warm-up set for him. I think it went well.
Yeah, it did.
I didn't get the call again for the next one, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it really went well. It's just brilliant. He's got such a great following, and a loyal following, has done for ages. I've always been to Kenny's gigs anyway, just as a fan, and I've always had great admiration for Kenny. He's such a top boy, and it's really, I don't know, I'm blessed in some of the people that I've worked with on this project, and aside from that, actually, that I try and keep good people in my life, and Kenny's one of those people who is so talented. What a singer. He's like, I know he still does his vocal exercises and everything else to keep his voice totally up there, 100% in check. And not only is he just the consummate professional and an incredible vocalist, but he's a great guy, just a top guy, good people, you know what I mean? And that's all I want to associate myself with. There's a lot of wrong-uns out there, and Kenny ain't one of them.
Thank you, brother. I mean, the feeling's mutual. And again, it goes for a lot of people across the whole Soul family and the My Soul crowd and all the rest of it. It's all, the whole vibe, isn't it? It's good people in there's good people in the game. And, and to be honest with you, I have to say it, and I say it time and time again, when I found out about the Soul family and about the people in the music game and the fans, was when my daughter fell ill in 2017. And the way people rallied around me, and the fans, and the just giving donations, and also that enabled us to still be here almost 6.5 years on. We're still here, still fighting. And I owe a lot of that to the likes of you and your John Jules and your Mike Vittis and everyone in the Soul family, CJ Carlos, all of them, all of the characters.
So, Ronnie, this is a bit of a different departure in terms of not only the music that you produce, but also the music that comes out on DJ Spen's Quantize recording label as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is very different to what Quantize Recordings would normally put out. I mean, they're predominantly a house label. They've got their soulful house arm, which is Quantize, and their more techier side, which is unquantized. And this is like, this is I think the one side. I've done another sort of soulful mix or soul mix, if you like, of the first single, which was Another Way. I know you supported that, Mike, and I thank you for that still to this day. I remember you just saying to me, why isn't the vibe solo a bit longer? But it's just one of them things. But anyway, yeah, so this is the second track on a more sort of down tempo thing that's come out with Spen. I think he's had one before. I think he did a cover version of an old was it a Letter Adams, or I can't remember. He's definitely done like a sort of hip hop version of an old track, but this is like the first really original soul track that's come out on Quantize. So I'm quite excited about that. And it's given Spen a bit of a challenge as well, because ordinarily he puts these records out on Traxsource, and Traxsource is, as you know, like a soulful house, an all house outlet for those DJs, if you like. But this is something that's probably, I don't know if it will sit well on Traxsource as an outlet, but most definitely something different for Quantize. So really, really excited about that, and I think Spen has given him a bit of a challenge to work with something as a real soul record on his label as well.
I think just talking about Spen for a second, because if you sit down and have a chat with him, people know he's a house DJ, of course they do, and an exceptionally good one. But actually, he's a hip hop head, isn't he? That's where it all started for him, way back in the day in Baltimore.
I've got a story for you. You're gonna love this. So yes, DJ Spen. We all know him as a house head. What a DJ as well. I mean, the great thing about Spen is he's great as a solo DJ. He also works with Charisma, one of his Baltimore friends and natives. So you hear the duo Spen and Charisma a lot, and the Jasper Street Company. So he's got and also part of the Basement Boys crew. So he's got such an array of different DJ heads, if you like. In Croatia, which we've just literally come back from recently, like just last weekend, in actual fact, I did a hip hop soul set. It was in a place called Olive Grove. There was Rich Medina, there was myself, and Kenny Dope, who again is one of those people that you may associate more with house music as part of Masters at Work. But Kenny is an old school hip hop boy. You can hear it in the way he programs his drums, and it's the same with Spen, really. So I've done this hip hop set, done an hour. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but the room did get ripped up. And he come up to me literally within 5 minutes. He actually pulled me from, like, I literally walked off the stage, and he pulled me around the corner and went, I need to do a hip hop soul set. And I was like, well, let's do it. I said, like, why don't we do something maybe for the next event that we do, whether it's Funky Dory or one of your events, but we'll get it together. So I know that he would love to do a hip hop soul set.
With regard to the album, you're 4 singles down at the minute. How many tracks are there on the album altogether? And when can we expect to see the finished article?
How many tracks are on the album? That's a really good question. Because there's mixes that are going to go on the album. There's some mixes that I've done of the tracks that have come out that will feature on the album, that haven't seen the light of day so far. So I think the last count, there's going to be like 12. I'm aiming for a 12-track album. There'll be 12 tracks on there, probably 8 tracks that are different, and then a couple of mixes. I've done I Wanted Your Love, and Spen's mix of that was really sort of big out there. So we've done like a little edit of that. Thinking About Your Love, Another Way was the first single. There's another version of that will be going on the album, an album version, if you were. So I'm counting about 12 tracks. Some tracks that have already seen the light of day as a single, but unreleased versions of those, and just original tracks. You know what I'm really proud of as well? I mean, there are a couple of covers on there. There's like the I Wanted Your Love, which you heard and supported, so thank you for that. But yeah, there are a couple of covers. I Wanted Your Love, which was the Luther track, and Thinking About Your Love, the Skipworth and Turner track. But if I remember rightly, the rest of the album is pure originals. And I've got to be honest with you, and I've written a couple of tracks on the album as well, which I'm very, very proud of. So that's something, that's pushed me as not only a producer, but as an artist. And I've got to start categorizing myself as that, I suppose, as the artist. But yes, I'm really proud of that fact that out of the 12 tracks that will be coming, there's only 2 that will be covers and the rest originals.
And this project was born out of lockdown and frustration and everything else that the world was going through all together, all at the same time, right?
Yeah, this project was born out of the lockdown period where I got quite got very ill, to be honest with you. And upon my recovery, I still wasn't doing my radio show, which I do daily, Monday to Friday. I do the radio show, and I wasn't able to do that. But what I was able to do was sit at my computer and just go through some music on my hard drive, and I just started to think to myself, if I don't do this now, because nobody knew if we were going to come out of lockdown. We didn't know what the world situation was going to develop into, and it still hasn't really fully recovered 3 years on. But at that particular time, I was like, I've got to find a way of getting these records to see the light of day. You got to pull them out your hard drive. You got to get them finished somehow, and just try and get them out. And that was after that conversation I had with Spen, in terms of getting the first single out there, and then him saying to me, look, why don't you do this project? That was it. So back in 2020, just tail end of 2020, was when we really started to sort of get our teeth into this project. And listen, I know it's 2023, but a lot of the artists that I've worked with, they're really hard to sort of pin down, although they've been really sort of forthcoming and, welcome the project with me, with open arms. It's still been tough to sort of get everyone down into one place and get all the tracks finished. I've got one track left to do. That one track left is with DJ Spen. So I've saved that till last because, in a sense, that's the easiest thing for me to sort of get together, although he's all over the place as well. And I'm, not too shabby. I'm sort of out there doing my thing as well. So, but that will happen. So watch this space. The final track to be finished on this album will be with DJ Spen. And I'm really excited about that because I think us two as DJs and producers and sort of just heads who love soul music, I think it's going to be an interesting collab.
All right, just on the weight thing and the 3 years and all that, I'll just throw something at you. So I asked Frankie Beverly once why it was he didn't release more albums, right, quicker, because there was always 3 or 4 years in between each album. If you remember the studio albums, there was always a bit of time. And he said to me, you can't rush great art.
There are so many factors to that. One is you've got to live a bit of life to come up. And like I said earlier on, I've sort of had the chance to write a couple of the tracks, as well as sort of collaborating with people like Kenny Thomas with The Sun Will Rise Again, who wrote that and completely resonated with me. When, as he was writing it, he was sending it back to me and going, what do you think of this? I was going, this is amazing. So yeah, you've got to live a bit of life to be able to sort of translate that into paper and then a song. That's one of them. And, listen, if you're a perfectionist, if you've got musical OCD, you're always going to be doing a little tweak here. I mean, I've revisited most of the tracks that I've finished. I've revisited many times to go, you know what? I just want to turn the bass up on that, or I just want to sort of turn the hi-hat down a little bit here and just tweaks. You can be tweaking forever, but there will be a point where you have to stop. But, as long as you feel that it's right and it can do a job out there, that's the time to say, you know what? That's it. And sometimes it's working with a great engineer or someone in the studio that says, listen, that's the one. But you've got to be kind of okay with that inside. And that's why, for me, this album has taken so long, because I didn't want to rush it. What's the point of rushing it? I want 12 tracks on that album to be absolutely banging. And I would like there to be something on that album for everyone, whether it's a soul record, whether it's a soulful house record, whether it's an instrumental cut with, just a little vibe to it. But I would like there to be something on the album for everyone, and you can't rush that.
Okay, Ronnie Herel and also Kenny Thomas, thanks very much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. It's good to get the two of you together to talk about this project. I'm not sure with your diaries how often this is going to happen, so I'm going to take that as a win. Thanks, Kenny. Much appreciated.